Hi. This book right here is a book on humility that my pastor loaned me. And I have to say, when I was first led to Christ as a kid, I was really focused on humility. I've had a tendency in my life to go from, one extreme. I've been, very proudful at times in my life, and very focused on, being the best of the best and everything. And I have to say that, I was that way before I was led to Christ, and when I fell away in my early 20s, and, I went through, kind of bad phase where I was, kind of aggressive and violent, and, chip on the shoulder and everything. And, I've made some pretty dumb mistakes in my life. I may have been in some very vicious, violent fights. I once, tried to choke somebody, and, I put a couple of guys in the hospital, one of which was my own uncle. And I've made plenty of other mistakes, sexual immorality and everything. But I've never been involved in drugs, but I think that was because I was, my ego, I was obsessed with having as much self-control as possible. In fact, there was a time in which I saw myself as being kind of like this emotionally detached, super rational Spock-like character off Star Trek, Anyways, when I was first led to Christ when I was young, around 16, I was very focused on humility. And how that applied to my approach in school is that I became humble enough to ask stupid questions. I came to realize the value in asking very stupid questions. And in math class, I got up in front of the whole class and I started asking my math teacher just one stupid question and another. In fact, I even asked questions that even to me seemed stupid, just so I could kind of like recap my brain and also to kind of break that barrier of embarrassment. I kind of had this attitude that I had to kind of rebel against society and be totally focused on, asking dumb questions, because I do have a tendency to be kind of, at certain moments in my life to kind of fight against the world, and that was my way of fighting against the world, was ask the stupidest questions I possibly could. And I swear, all the other students were like, laughing at me, making jokes about how stupid I was and everything. But the thing is, and they were very persistent about how stupid I was. And even a teacher, I think, got kind of irritated with me and said, why don't we talk about this stuff after class and everything. And I did. But by asking these stupid questions over and over, I ended up starting to excel at mathematics. And before long, I ended up going to a higher math class and everything like that and getting, straight A's on it. And these other kids that were ridiculing me for being so dumb were basically left behind. The value of humility is extremely important. Being humble keeps you from making dumb mistakes. It keeps you praying. It keeps you focused on God, and it keeps you taking advice from others. But one aspect of humility is just simply asking dumb questions. You got to ask dumb questions in life. You can't learn any other way. And one thing I would like to do right now, if there are any of you out there that are interested in, thermodynamics and, refrigeration and heating and subjects like that, I would like to ask a few dumb questions that I've been trying to figure out. Now, it's hard to, understand this stuff. It's like my dad and this guy I know named Fernando. I mean, they both went to refrigeration and heating class. And, it's very hard. They both comment about how, just one person after another just drops out because it's hard to learn this stuff. And I'd like to ask a question about, I know I've studied like on Joseph Black's theory on the fluid theory of heat and everything, and I've studied how it was proven wrong and how it was replaced by the kinetic theory of heat. And, it makes sense to me at a general level. I mean, the idea of their molecules are like little rubber balls and they're bouncing around off each other, and the more, kinetic energy you put into that, the more they bounce around and the gas expands, and learn the basics of entropy and all that jazz. But the thing that kind of puzzles me is the fact that, I see kinetics as being like something that has to do with acceleration and, centrifugal motion and, mass and velocity and all that jazz. When it comes to applying kinetics at the molecular level, that kind of puzzles me, because as far as what I know, what a molecule is that it's got a nucleus made of protons and neutrons, and then it has this large electron cloud around it. And basically, one molecule does not interrelate with another molecule outside of the electron cloud. It's the electron clouds that actually, relate to one another in, molecular, physics or whatever. And if that's the case, does that mean the kinetic energy is transferred from one molecule to another molecule through an electromagnetic medium? And if that's how it works, is basically all kinetic energy travel through an electromagnetic medium at the general level? I mean, is kinetic energy what I guess what's puzzling me is exactly what is kinetic energy? I mean, is it like some form of electromagnetic energy or some kind of energy that travels through that kind of medium at all levels? I mean, that is very much of a puzzle for me. And another question I would like to ask, and please forgive me if it sounds stupid or anything, but and this is kind of actually related to what I was talking to Jamie Heineman about a long time ago when I met him at that VA center. But it's in regards to latent heat and sensible heat. I've heard rumors that an evaporative cooler that you can't. I've heard a couple of rumors about it. I guess you could say myths, so to speak. One myth is the idea that an evaporative cooler does not actually cool your body. It just tricks your body into thinking you're cool when you're actually just as warm. And the other thing that I've heard is that you cannot exercise under an evaporative cooler because it keeps you from sweating properly or something, and it causes your body to overheat, or it's unhealthy for you in some way. Because there's this one guy, I used to exercise out in my garage. I would lift weights out there, and I had like a corrugated sheet metal roof and everything, and I had this a cooler in there, a swamp cooler, and I would turn it on in order to cool myself down as I exercised. There was this guy who said that I shouldn't do that, that I should shut it off, but it gets awful hot in there, with the swamp cooler off. And the thing that I understand about latent heat is latent heat is all about putting BTUs in a substance without there being a change in temperature or any kind of change in sensible heat or any kind of change in state. And I do know that like on different substances, once they hit a certain threshold of so many BTUs put in, then all of a sudden there's a change in state, and as you add the BTUs, it changes and everything. And I'm thinking that maybe what it is these people who think that swamp cooler just tricks you into thinking you're cold when you're not, are getting latent heat and sensible heat kind of confused. And I'm just guessing. I mean, I've known some pretty smart people who seem to have these opinions, smarter than me. But is it that basically an evaporative cooler is like taking the BTUs out of your body, but not to the point that it produces a change in sensible heat or any kind of change in state, like if you put like a fluid down or something like that. And in regards to exercising under a swamp cooler, I suppose that's kind of related to the first question, but I mean, it basically is it just because of the increase in humidity? I don't know. It just doesn't understand. To me, it seems like it definitely cools your body down when you have the swamp cooler on. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it is bad for your health to exercise under a swamp cooler. But these are some questions I'd really like to have answered if any of you out there are into this kind of stuff and are familiar with it, because I mean, I've been studying this stuff pretty hard for many years, and there's just certain things that just have always puzzled me, and I haven't figured them out. So if you have the time, please give me some kind of reply, because it's something I'd be quite interested in having some feedback about. So thank you, and God bless. Bye bye.